Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Unity Orlando. Our opening statement this morning is I am a child of God and I live in the kingdom of health and abundance. Let's all affirm that together. I am a child of God and I live in the kingdom of health and abundance. All right, let's all close our eyes, take a nice deep breath in, and let's affirm that together in the silence. And so it is. And now if you'd like to stand, we'll sing our joy song this morning. It's called Within Me.
Good morning, Unity Orlando. How is everybody today? All of your beautiful faces. It's good to see you. I'm Susan Francis. I'm your platform speaker. Welcome in person and online. I'm glad you're spending your Sunday morning with us. For those at home, you can download the notes of today's lesson on unityorlando.org's website. On the services page, tap on the lesson note photograph and you can download them. For those who are here, you have the notes in your hand if our usher did his job. Our wonderful Brian Usher did his job. He handed you a, what would you call it? A bulletin. Thank you. So you have the notes. Okay. So a few announcements. We have, if you'd like to order from Amazon, please help our church by entering the Amazon link through our website. So that way, anything you purchase, a percentage of that comes back to us. A very small percentage. So we need you to buy lots on Amazon. Okay, midweek prayer and meditation with Reverend Ronnie and myself is coming up this Wednesday on Facebook at 4:30 p.m. And it's saved there, and also it goes to our website. So join us if you'd like, or at any other time. Navigating A Course in Miracles with Reverend Ronnie and Paul Kenny is on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And if you'd like to join and have never come before, please email Ronnie, and her info is on our website as well. Also, the Unity Men's Group meets at 4 p.m. On Wednesday. Everything happens Wednesday. Nothing happens the rest of the week. You can go to Starbucks on the corner of Hal Branch and 436. It's the men's group. And they also meet on the third Sunday of each month in the courtyard classroom. So come out if you can. Also, the Soul Group, which is the seniors of Unity Living Lively, Large, and Laughing with Love, meet on the fourth Friday of every month in Meyer Hall. And a reminder that our chaplains have been out in full force since before COVID, and we're back in person here. So if you want prayer, see one of us after service. Right now, I'm the only one. But also join us at 8 p.m. every evening. We hold prayer. And this month it is the I Am. So join us in spirit for that. Reverend Bob's lesson this morning is self in capitals or lowercase self. So that should be really interesting. Before I give the mic over to Brian, I have a little story to tell you. So our fourth grade grandson celebrated his birthday on crutches. So he couldn't carry his cupcakes into school without help. So I asked the sixth grader, Noah, to help his brother carry them in. And Noah said, I could, but I prefer not to. So, of course, spotting a teaching moment, my husband, John, asked Noah, what would Jesus do? And Noah answered, well, Jesus would heal him so he could carry his own cupcakes. I mean, really. I'm going to turn that over to Brian now.
Thank you very much. And here's a song called Here With You. Time again, never really reaching the end, shifting through the sand, here with you. Brick by brick and mortar stone, I feel my body from the ground is grown, living in the temple, here with you. The higher road, the path before me is still unknown, trusting the higher realm, here with you. Here I succeed in the grander plan. Here I can be a better man as I am coexisting here with you. Here I succeed in the grander plan. Here I can be a better man as I am coexisting here with you.
That was wonderful. And the perfect song, by the way. And it was good to see when I came back that you're all still here. Everybody's still here. I hope you're all still here at home. And I can see those of you who are out here that are all still here. It's wonderful. Coexisting with our higher self, our soul. It fits perfectly. Welcome back. I guess I'm the one who was gone. Let's see. I went to San Antonio to be with my daughter and her family. There with Michael, and we celebrated Avery's first birthday. Wow. How about that? And she smiled at me right away. They said she doesn't do that with everyone. So I thought, okay, that's right. You know, she senses Lindsay in me. So what'd we do? Oh, I like to make myself useful. So I arrived, and they had just moved back into the house. They have moved in and out of this house twice now. The people who flipped it did everything wrong. So they ruined a few things, and they had to move out while the entire floors were replaced and things like that. Anyway, whatever. It was, so I took a look, and their kitchen is full of boxes, and there's nothing to cook with. And there's one or two items, you know, and I said, oh, you need help. So first thing I did was unpack their kitchen. Then we were hot into the celebration of Avery's first birthday, and they were a few of their friends were gathering. They went to this farm venue where there's all kinds of things, a slide, swings, a train to ride around. There's all kinds of things there. Okay, and we had a fire and a couple of picnic tables. Okay, and their friends were coming there. So I helped them get ready for this big event and all the party and everything. Out at the party, when we were done kind of hosting, we said, okay, we have got to go explore the corn maze. And, you know, they're having a great time. And I'm thinking, when is this going to be done? You know? So consequently, when I came home, Patty pulled this off the web. A corn maze for old people, one stock. We've all agreed that's our style. And then finally, I put in a garden for them. I told them, I do this all the time. Take me a couple hours. They had the front area between their entrance and their garage. They had stones that were, you know, shale stones, the free-form ones, no solid lines, and that went all the way up to the house. And they said, we want to come back 3 foot and have a nice garden in that area, you know. So I said, yeah, that won't take me long. It took me 4 hours just to get the stones right. Now, they looked pretty good when I was done. And then I said, okay, it won't take long to dig the garden. We scraped off some of the gravel that was under the stones, and we started down and realized it's like chipping away at concrete. So I had to do whatever. Lindsay said she would have given up, but me, no, I've chipped away at concrete before. I've dug holes in Colorado where it's equally hard. And so I chipped out big enough hole we could plant the plants that she'd bought the day before, each a hole for each one, and put nice rich soil in it. So when I was done, I was very proud of that. I left a couple of them for them to put in so they can know how hard it was. And it was 2 days there and 2 days back on the road. I am now very conversant in Harry Potter. I listen to the books on CD the whole way. Keeps me alive. But as it is said so many times and seems trite, but is not, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. I do want to tell you one thing I discovered about Texas, at least San Antonio, okay? I am in San Antonio, and I have to go out into Home Depot. I got to go collect stuff for the party. So I'm traveling around some, et cetera. And in any case, whether I'm going in for fast food or going to Home Depot, I experienced the same thing. When you look like me and you walk into these places, the ladies smile at you, the men hold the door for you, they call you sir, and at Home Depot, people in the car next to you say, "Can we load that for you?" Which I turned down, but I thought it was really nice. I went, wow, old people get respect here. I come from Florida. There's so many of us, they just think we're a pain. Oh, well. I found it intriguing. I want to talk about self, capital S, and self, small s. Paul gave the intro last week, without a doubt. He did an excellent job of explaining the difference between your human self and your eternal self, your outer self and your soul, your little me and your great me. You know, there's an old, well, it's not terribly old, but it's out of print now. It was a children's book that was put out called The Little Me and the Great Me. You can still get it off Amazon, but you got to pay a little bit for it because they're not as available as they used to be. You know, the rarer they get, the more you pay. What I found was intriguing in that when they described the book, they said, oh, it's the classic book that tells you, you know, how to behave either good or bad and to choose between the two. And I thought, boy, that is a surface understanding of what they are describing there. Because the little me and the great me is the intro into the realization of your personality and your higher self that is within you, the eternal self that Paul was talking about last week, the part of you that was before you came into this world and will be after you leave. This personality, it's temporary. So you have the little me, and we're amazingly obsessed with it. But you also have the great me inside of you. And it's important to know which one you're going to be loyal to. quite a number of years ago now. I say quite a number of years ago because I had been a minister for 20 years at that time, well seasoned, and I'm closing in on 50 now. But I was called by someone who was a recent graduate, had taken over a church, and things weren't going the way he wanted them to. He was hitting some political issues, and he had called me to assist him, and he had a plan. And when he told me what he wanted to do, I felt not only was it unwise, but it amazingly lacked integrity. And I said, no, I don't think we ought to be doing that, at all. And I suggested a plan that I thought would address the same situation, but with a lot more integrity. And he looked back at me and he said, well, you could tell his anger had the best of him. And he said, I'm going to do it my way. I am going to have to be true to myself. I have to be true to myself. Now, that is a statement you will hear in Unity. But I had an immediate response. I said, yes, but when you do, you have to be very clear on whether self starts with a small s or a big S. We're learning to be true to big S, to higher self. Not to the passions, the angers, and the resentments of lower self. To higher self. To that great me that is inside of you. Just a side note, in case you're thinking, I don't know, am I ever going to be in his church? Well, no, he didn't last that long. Yeah, oh well. On the outside of this tower are 2 3-word statements. The tower here at the church. I know they're there because I put them there. Okay? And what I tried to do was choose 2 very short phrases that describe unity, what is most important to us. And on one side, it says, peace be still. And several weeks ago, I addressed that one, living in the presence. Peace be still. On the other side, it says, Christ in you. Christ in you. There is nothing more important in unity than that. In the early years, we had to decide where we stood. And we said, what makes us different than the rest of New Age is that we revolve around the Christ within, the Christ Spirit within you. In Colossians 1:26 through 27, the Apostle Paul writes, I became a minister to preach the word of God, even the mystery which has been hidden from ages and now is revealed. Christ in you, your hope of glory. Christ in you, the only hope you have of truly attaining glory. These personalities try to grab glory in all kinds of ways, and it always slips away. The only true glory in your life belongs to that connection you have to God and how it expresses through you directly. The Christ Spirit, that Spirit that is, quote, the Son of God. It is God as he connects to each and every one of us, the sons and daughters of God. And the Christ Spirit moves through all humanity, everybody. You don't live if you don't have this at the center of your being. It's your connection to life itself. And your soul is the expression of that Spirit. That Spirit moves through us all, but it is uniquely expressed through each and every one of us. Uniquely. Paul said, the soul is, now I'm going back to our Paul, Paul Kenny, last week. When I did this, I said, you're going to have to be clear, you know. There's the Apostle Paul, and then there's the most recent incarnation. Paul Kenny. Paul, who spoke last week, said, the soul is quietly in the background of all physical life. Your soul, that expression of the Christ Spirit in you, is quietly in the background the whole way through this life. It's always been there with you. It will outlive this personality. It's the part of you that I loved Paul's description of the grain of sand and then looking down the beach one way and then down the other and going, your life right now is just that one grain of sand. Your eternal being is the whole, spans the whole beach. Okay. The soul is quietly in the background of all physical life. And the spiritual path is about uncovering the soul out of that quiet background, touching it, and placing your soul in command of this physical life. That's the goal. That's what it's all about. Coexisting, as Brian said, with your higher self. Not blocking it out. Not letting it stay quietly in the background. But bringing it out. Personality living hand in hand with soul. Hand in hand with your connection to God. Your expression of that Christ Spirit. I can hardly talk about self and self without describing the situation for me. Everyone encounters your Christ self differently. I needed, I guess, to encounter it somewhat anthropomorphically, which means in a form like a human being, etc. Later, I experienced it differently. But in that first time, and there was a 6 weeks lead up to it, during which I thought, boy, the veil's going to lift at any moment, and I'm going to see what's really going on here. And I'd gotten used to it and just lived with that gnawing sense. And I came in from working outside. I sat down at the dining room table, was drinking on a drink, and I thought, let's try one more time to turn within. In Unity, we say your inner being is pivotal. You can look out, but you can also look in. And every time I tried to look in, it was relatively nothing. I thought, well, let's try one more time. And I thought, I didn't have much faith in it, but I said, let's just do it. And so I turned inside. And as I turned my attention and looked in, I came face to face with a being inside of me. And it scared the tar out of me. I said, my first thought was, what are you doing in here? Why is there someone in my quiet space? Why is there someone inside of me? Oh my God. But in this higher realm, when you are in the realm of spiritual experience, things come through as direct knowing. And in that moment, I knew this amazingly majestic being sitting behind that desk, who was aware of my presence but going on with his work, was my higher self. Call it what you like, my soul. The greater me, the great me. And was it great? As I let go of my fear and actually embraced what was there, I realized this being was stupendous. He was amazingly wise, loving and accepting, powerful beyond anything I had ever imagined. He was a truly great being of light. And at that moment, I realized he'd been with me all of my life. And he'd been doing this great work in the thought atmosphere on the higher realms since I was born. And I'd paid no attention to what was going on inside of me. And I had thought all those things I was doing, this outer being, Bob, was doing, were so important. And in that moment, I was essentially mortified. Ever been in the presence of someone truly great and you were acting kind of like you were hot? Yeah, I'm cool, you know? And then you realized who you were in the presence of and you went, oh my God. Well, that's what it felt like. And I went, all this time I've paid no attention to the soul, no attention to what's inside of me. I thought, well, that's over. All I want to be. This is the moment in which you know true humility. I knew that compared to this being that was inside of me, Bob was nothing. He was that one little grain of sand on the beach. And I knew it. I said, I want to be part of this greater life that is inside of me. And so I said, I'll be the pencil sharpener. I'll do anything. You know, and basically what came to me is you have to keep living your life because you're hosting, you know. You're hosting. So you got to wash dishes, garden, and all of that. And the veil had lifted. And I was there in the presence of my higher self, and My higher self and I, meaning I, while knowing that was inside of me, did gardening, washed dishes, did all kinds of things for about 3-4 hours. And then the veil dropped. And I couldn't touch it anymore. I was depressed for 3 years after my divorce. And this loss made that seem like child's play. This was the greatest loss of my life. The loss of touching my own soul. So, there's one thing I knew when I was in this state. I was not the only one. I knew that every one of you out there has the same depth of majesty inside of you. Your soul is that great being of light that on your deepest level you long to be. That's who you really are. This that we're playing, this that we're so obsessed with, it's nothing. When compared to the higher self within you. We give it a lot of lip service in Unity. It's important it become real. Now, there is a process by which we merge with our Christ self. We merge our Christ self and our personal self together. Somehow I got catapulted to the ultimate experience and then knocked back down. And so slowly but surely, I started encountering Christ's self in different little ways. A couple of years later, I found myself, and maybe it was several years later, I found myself out at Unity Village giving a seminar on basically awakening to your higher self. And what was intriguing is from the moment I entered the village grounds to leaving 4 days later, 4 or 5 days later after my series of workshops, I wasn't entirely me. That is, the outer me. It was like something greater was in charge and was moving through everything. People would be lined up. Amazing things would happen. I would say I'd say something and it spoke directly to someone. It was, people would come up. It's just like things were set. And whatever was within me was working and doing its work through all the people around me. And I was just along for the ride. And I loved it. Of course, that faded too. We're really attached to our outer being. And it's hard to keep a contact. It's hard to keep hold of your soul. So, I ask you, have you had times when your higher self was obviously in charge? When you were succeeding in ways you knew were beyond you? When something happened and that was just too much synchronicity for me, the outer being, to have caused that to happen. Have you had that moment, those moments? They can come through creativity. But those moments when you know there's something greater that moves through me, something stupendous resides within each of you, and you, and you, and you. And we need to awaken to it. That's what this path is all about. Now, soul awakening can come in 3 stages. The first is humility. I've really never had a trouble with that since my encounter with my higher self. I've often said my outer self was devastated. Remember? It is like nothing. What is intriguing is I've often said, I don't need to defend myself to the world anymore. This outer being, Bob. I'll do my best. But you can say, well, you're an idiot. I'll say, yeah, you're probably right. I am. I got it. I'm the jester. But I'll never make any apologies for what's inside of me or what's inside of you. Because that's majesty. The first step to discovering that majesty is the humility that's willing to let go of that tight hold, that total obsession that this outer grain of sand has on who we are. I'm not that important. What's inside of me is. But I'm not that important. I understand that. And the first step is to realize that. The second step is to embrace the majesty within, to actually embrace how phenomenal and wonderful this higher Christ self, the place where you connect to God, your expression of that Christ self is unique, stupendous, powerful, beautiful, loving. It is everything you wish you were. And you're that in your soul, at the center of your being. So embrace that majesty. And the third step is to serve the good of the whole. Thy will be done through me, God. It's the knowledge that as a Christ being, I am here to allow the Spirit of God to move through me and do its work, whatever needs to be done. I don't even always know what's happening, and I don't need to. This is what's inside of you. 28 years ago, a sincere unity seeker took me to lunch and said, I've heard your story of your encounter. I want to know, how can I touch my Christ self? Well, at that time, I wasn't entirely sure how I'd blundered into it. I just knew I'd held that desire long enough to touch my Christ self, that it was finally fulfilled. So I did my best, but I was always disappointed in that lunch. I don't think I gave him that much. But it's been a few years since. And I've got a little more to say now. I've done a little more research. You see, I have to tell the second half of my story. The veil fell, right? There was a tremendous sense of loss. You want to know what my impression of the whole thing was? My impression was that God took me to the top of the mountain and showed me the ultimate experience. And for a while, several hours actually. I got to experience that ultimate experience. And then it was as if Spirit picked me up by the scruff of my neck, dropped me off at the bottom of the mountain, and said, if you want that again, climb. I've had the privilege of seeing where we're going, but it didn't mean I wasn't going to have to climb. So you might say the entire rest of my life, since that experience in my mid-30s, has been about climbing that mountain. I want that experience again. And step by step, degree by degree, I am learning to coexist. I'm pointing at Brian. To coexist with my higher self, step by step. So, let's talk about what I learned along the way. I got a few practices for you. What are some practices for reaching beyond personal identity and beginning to touch higher self, soul, Christ self? You name it, whatever you want to call it. It falls under all these names. The majesty within. First practice you might find beneficial is in meditation, letting go of your outer identity. You see, in life, it's all about identity. What do you identify with? And we identify with our outer being. We identify with our mind. We identify with our feelings. I get angry. That's just me. I can't stop it. That's just me. Oh, that's just I don't want to stop it. You can do anything. You can change yourself in any way you like. So we can slowly but surely dislodge our identity from this outer human self and more attach our identity to our souls, to that ultimate spiritual self inside of us. But I suppose the first step is to detach. So in meditation, just go through. Start saying, I am not my body. And let that go. That's not who I am. Then it's, I am not my vocation. Let it go. I am not American. My outer being is, but that's not who I am. I am not my opinions. That's hard because we're very proud of our opinions. That's not who you are. I'm not my mind and my ideas. Really? I'm not my emotions. They're not who I am. I'm not my personality. I've seen people change personalities dramatically by choice. It isn't who you ultimately are. Your outer being is all of those things. But when you let go of each aspect of your outer being, and then you sit in silence like Paul was talking about last week, sit in that silent, that eternal silence. Then you say, what am I? And it may simply start as, I am. I am. But if you can successfully detach from each level of personality, your emotions, your thoughts, your opinions, the role you play in life, if you can detach from all of this, you're free to embrace something greater. That's where we move into the second stage. The second suggestion is work with the humility-majesty connection. Humility allows you to let go of this outer being. It's not that important. Surrender. It takes humility to surrender. You say, really? Shouldn't I not surrender? You should always surrender the lesser for the greater. You don't have to be that sniveling idiot who's walking around and pretending he's cool. You can let that go. You can be humble enough to say, he's not that important. But there is a majesty inside of me that is phenomenally important. My soul is more powerful, more majestic than I have ever imagined. So move your identity inward. Remember, it's what you identify with. I am not this outer personality. I am God's beloved child. And maybe you'll affirm that over and over until it isn't just words, until it's an energy experience. I am not this personality. I am God's beloved child. I am the expression of the Christ Spirit. I am my soul. The third approach is to image your perfect Christ self. If you were perfect, without biases of any kind, without your opinions holding you back and your emotions dragging you down, if you were this great being of light come into the world to just by your presence make it a better place, what would that look like? So image yourself as this amazingly peaceful, accepting, loving being. Powerful beyond measure and not needing to show anyone that. When it's called on, it'll be there. With wisdom flowing through you. For me, it was an old guy sitting behind a desk. But those were all symbols. That was just a picture that worked for me for the moment. Image what you are. Image that right in front of you and then step into it and try to feel that presence coexisting in the same space with your personal self, the two of us together walking through this life. And the fourth practice, declare the Christ Spirit that is in Jesus Christ is in me now. I know that starts to sound like sacrilege, but it is not. Jesus said, he who follows me will find for himself the light of life. That Spirit that is at the center of your being. So, Keep affirming. Christ Spirit that is in Jesus Christ is in me now. Your soul is an expression of this Christ Spirit. Are you very connected to it right now? Well, that's debatable. The Christ Spirit that is in Jesus Christ is in me now. Your soul is an expression of the Christ Spirit. It is the point at which God infuses through you, and you have no life if that doesn't happen. So, try to feel a spirit greater than yourself moving through you. Try to feel this Christ Spirit flowing through you as you walk through life. And in each decision, be true to your higher self within. To thine own self be true. Just make sure it's a capital S. To your higher self be true. And number 5, each day ask your soul to take command of your life. Try to feel that outer sense of self merging with higher self. Declare, soul, take command of my life. Higher self, eternal self, take command of my life. I realize I still have to walk through it, but I sure could use some help. And my agenda is not that important, so please, thy will be done through me. Soul, take command of my life. Thy will be done through me. Wherever I go, whatever I do your work through me. I'm going to conclude it with basically one sentence. If you hold your desire to be united with your soul every day, eventually, you'll have an experience that will open your eyes to the true majesty that lies within you. And your life will never be the same. It will never be the same. It'll be better. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath, sigh it out. And we're going to begin the process of letting go of our whole outer being. Move into your heart. Center yourself there. Think I am out of the middle of your chest, not out of your head. I am. I am. Now let's let go. I am not my body. My body is there, but that is not who I am. Just something I wear for the time being. I am not the role I play in life. I'm not my vocation. I am not a husband or a wife. Not in the essence of who I am. In the essence, possibly, I am everyone's husband and wife. But the roles we play in this outer life they are temporary. They're not who I am. I am not my opinions. The things that I am so sure are right and would make this world better, that's not who I am. I'm not my emotions. Certainly not the anger or the discontent. I'm not the fear. Let them go. We let it all go. I'm not my mind. I am beyond this particular life, while at the same time in it. So it does not define me. This life is not who I am. Let it go. Now quietly in silence, be that which is left. It is eternal. Does not feel the same as that which is transient. It is peaceful. It is in harmony. It is light. And it is love. Love way beyond those emotions we feel in the outer world. The pure spiritual energy. That celebrates oneness. For a moment, see this inner being that you are in its full majesty. That which is in you, realize, is wise beyond anything you can imagine. That which is in you is loving and accepting. Once again, beyond anything your personality could do. It is powerful, but does not need to control others. It is beautiful. Majestic to behold. And step into it. And feel it inside of you now. You are still that personal human self. But you share space. You are part of. And as you walk through this life, it walks with you. This majestic being within. You are merged. And though you go through this life and do what you need to do, you know also thy will be done through me. Take command of my life. O wonderful, majestic being within me. Quietly move behind the scenes to fulfill thy will. The Christ Spirit, that same Spirit that is in Jesus Christ, is in me now and in charge of this lowly physical life that I presently live. I am a human being hosting an eternal being. They are both me. And as I embrace this eternal being within, though my personality may eventually drop away, I do not die. Father, give me the strength to reach the top of the mountain. The strength to live this life in total awareness of the majesty that lives within me. Thank you, God, for who I am, for who I truly am. Amen. And if the usher will come forward, we'll prepare for offering. Now, for those of you online, number one, we're really glad you're here with us. Number two, this is how you participate and support us. You can go to the homepage following service, hit the Donate Now button. You can go and use PayPal or a credit card, or you can pull off our address, mail us a check, or finally, if it's easier, you can call the office and arrange for regular offerings. Thank you. Your support and your support are what keeps us going. Let's affirm as we give our offering together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Thank you, God. Amen. Now, in honor of my coming back, I choose to see it that way. Brian's going to sing my favorite song. And everybody else is going to make him sound good.
Here we go. 2, 3. under my feet, I feel I feel alive. And when I see the darkness follow up the light, I'll feel alive. And when I enter that tunnel and move towards the light, I'll feel alive. And when I leave this world for another world, I'll be alive. I'll be Oh, whoa.
Well,
Darn.
Okay.
nobody could hear what I said.
They all know us.
They know you? Okay. Whether you're watching at home or attending in person, thank you. You're my Unity family, and I am very proud to be your minister. Next Sunday, I'll be speaking on the subject Leadership Through Service. Let's all rise. Let's close our service with the prayer of protection. Together. Wait a second. This looks so weird. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful